can you buy followers on TikTok?
You can buy anything. But it's like, well, what do you want to buy them for? What are you hoping that it would give you?
Right.
If it's an ego stroke, I can come and give you a hug and say how amazing you are and send you a text message every day. I'll save you a bit of money.
Yeah, right.
But what else is it for?
Welcome to the Troy Kearns podcast. We talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship. Today, in studio, all the way from England, across the pond, we've got Joshua Moore, the ginger marketer. He's actually coming to speak at our mastermind, which starts tomorrow. We've got a little bit of an early day. I'm super excited to have you in Kansas City, in the studio, man. Welcome.
It feels pretty surreal, to be honest.
Doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
I know we did this a few months ago and we were on screen and we were just talking early days about me coming over and
right.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of have to pinch myself that I'm in Kansas City.
Right, and you've had a hell of a journey just in the last couple of years, right?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, it didn't take me a few years to get here. It's like
no, just in terms of like you were originally in sales.
Yeah.
Right, you started in sales, and then what got you into TikTok?
Yeah, so I was in sales, but I'd always tried different things like drop shipping, like setting up like lifestyle magazines and different things along the way. So I think there was always this, like an itch, like a kind of something that I was itching to kind of do this entrepreneurial lifestyle habits business, and none of those really kind of panned out to be almost what you could say something to overtake like a 9 to 5. So I was still doing a 9 to 5 and then something on the side as well. But then, yeah, like COVID come around and I was in this sales position. And
what were you selling?
So I was working affiliate marketing, but not as if you'd think the traditional marketing now, where we think, selling courses and all that as well. I was actually brand side, so I was working with some of the big US brands. I was working like with, Emirates, there was like Nike, Adidas, and just managing like a lot of their UGC content, discount codes, cashback sites.
Okay.
We were working network, managing that.
Okay.
So I was just really signing on the big brands to come in and we'd help with kind of service, etc. So that was kind of the main focus of the sales piece. But then, when like COVID hit, it was, well, is this going to be it? If it's just going to be this and then go back to this life. And whilst that was coming, TikTok was very big, and I thought, well, let me just get on TikTok. And I still remember the first day where I got like 1,000 views, which was an incredible experience. It gets me goosebumps now just thinking about it, because
really?
You can soon forget what that feels like, your first 1,000 views. And I made a commitment.
What'd you post? Do you remember the first one?
Something flicking my hair at the start of the video. I know that was something I did from the early stages, but I think it was literally like how to record a TikTok video. It was very basic because I didn't know. I always thought it was an app for kids, and so when I was just learning along the way, part of my frustrations with it was I didn't know how to use it.
Right.
And as someone who was at the time like 32, I'm thinking, well, come on, I've grown up with social media, Facebook, and I should know how to use TikTok. It shouldn't be too much different.
Right.
But I was getting frustrated that I couldn't use it, so I was learning it, and as I was learning it, I was posting about it, how to go live, how to add text, how to do all the most basic things.
Right.
And that soon kind of went into other things, and I quickly grew my audience. Within 6 months to like 100,000 people, and before you know it, people were reaching out saying, hey, like, seeing you've got really good growth or you're getting lots of views, how do I do the same? And a lot of it was for vanity, they just wanted that, and I was like, cool, I'll do this for you. But a lot of the time we found out after deeper conversations they've got a business, and they wanted to promote a business, and but they never thought that they could use it for business,
right?
Because they thought they could use it for just trends. And so then I was like, okay, well, as a byproduct of their growth, of their followers, their influence, people were reaching out to them as well.
Yeah.
So then like 3 months into it, I'd gained like 60,000 followers. I just think, well, I'm going to just quit my 9 to 5 and just go all in on this. And I was working with a few clients.
And you were charging money at that point in time?
Yeah, but it wasn't really... You
didn't know what you were doing?
No, it was like, cool $50, or cool $200 for you.
So here's $100, I'll do everything for you.
And then I had some kind of like framework to it, and I think my first ever client was an SEO specialist, and she'd been doing it like 10 plus years. And I think I charged for 8 weeks with her, one-on-one. We did 3 calls a week, so a total of what was that, 24 one-on-one. I think I charged her $497.
Man, is that deal still around?
It depends. But then it was just crazy to think, and her feedback was like, I just don't understand how you can, like, I helped her get like 40,000 followers, and she'd actually picked up a few website deals, so she had like incredible, like probably like, I think she made up like 30,000 back in actual just brands reaching out to her. And then I was like, oh, there's an opportunity, and I just kind of expanded out to each and everyone. And
you kind of learned as you go.
Yeah, of course, and I think you do most things, but over time you work with everyone, and then you find the people you do like working with, or you naturally attract a certain other type of person through referrals. And then since then, I mean, it's the audience grown to 830,000. I've been on TikTok. I did a TikTok live once in front of 60,000 people who were live. I've done various partnerships with them. And
60,000?
There was 60,000 people watching a live, whereas me and TikTok, and we did it for an hour just talking about TikTok analytics.
Oh, wow. Did they invite you on or something?
Yeah, so they invited me on.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's hard to get it on your own stream.
Yeah.
So
it actually come off the back of, they'd reached out to me, and I was, as part of their like inner trainings, they were training brands on how to use TikTok.
Right.
So then it was like, well, you're a big creator, let's come in. So I was doing some trainings on how to use it for branding.
Right.
And then they said, oh, it's really great. We'd like to, help you train our audience on analytics. So I've done a few things there as well. So that's just opened up so many doors, and just to grow such an influence and a large following online and an audience, there's so much power in that. Because I think once you can get attention of people, once you can build an audience, it's almost limitless of what you can offer them.
Yeah.
How you can expand that message. And I mean, myself as a brand has grown from that. I mean, I've always had long hair. That's been my USP, shall we say.
Yeah.
That's grown from that, but it's become so much more. Whereas first it'd be TikTok, but now I recall when we were working together, whilst it was a pitch of, hey, I'll help you grow on TikTok.
Yeah.
Just from my own knowledge of branding and psychology and how you build yourself up as a brand, like colors and the way that you talk, your voice and how you present yourself, people can, it's almost that recognition, they can remember you for something.
Yeah.
And that's what's really started to open my eyes up recently to a bigger piece of, it's not only reach, but it is that influence, and it is that attraction, it is that you can kind of keep people's attention for a lot longer, which in today's age, I think attention is the new gold. I always say this. If you can,
it's the currency.
Yeah, if you can keep and manage people's attention, and get them into a room, because it's so easy for now people to be distracted with their phones and even like TikTok and everything as well. If you can keep that attention, and that's what a lot of advertising and the paid advertising find it hard to do, because they often can't, because people aren't going towards paid ads so much. They want meaningful conversations with humans who feel that they understand them rather than being pitched to. Marketing and branding has changed a lot for that.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I learned from you, and for those of you guys who are listening right now, and you're on social media and you're trying to grow, it's very frustrating, first of all. Like when you're trying to grow and you have no idea what you're doing, and you're listening to a bunch of people out there who say how to grow, or this guy says how to grow, and this person says this. And then for me, I got to a point where I was just frustrated. I was trying everything. And I remember, maybe Amazon or whatever, somebody reads your brain, right? Your phone reads your brain. And next thing you know, I'm looking at your content and I'm seeing you're going through how to do this, and I'm like, oh, I like this guy. I'm gonna follow him, right? I'm gonna hit the follow button, which we love when we first go on TikTok. You see all I got all these followers. Yeah, I'm growing. It's like this, cool thing. And then, we ended up. I was looking at you and another guy, and I remember he just kind of had this. You could trick TikTok a little bit, right? I think, and he had one of those ways where you just put the words on and you keep it really short and sweet, and because I got to watch it over and over again to see what he said, because he tricked me and I didn't pause it. Now he's got me, and I remember going on that call with him, And I was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's trying to slam me.
Yeah.
And then I came through yours, and you didn't try to sell me anything. You took me through a discovery call, which I would later use in my business.
Yeah.
And then you went through the presentation.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of psychology in that presentation. And I was like, where did you learn how to do that? And then as we got together and we started diving down and looking at my stuff, you'd ask me these questions. One of the best questions you asked me, I don't even know if you remember this. You go, what is channel? You go, what is channel? You're the Troy Kearns channel. Are you a channel? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, we're on all these different channels, and I just figured that's what we'd call it. Yeah. And you're like, well, are you an actual channel, or why do you have it? Like, shouldn't you be and then you explain like, hey, you're a real estate person. That's how you should be known. And why would you call yourself a channel? And then like the biggest thing I learned was how just saying one thing or just one position of me on the camera or one like just different thing or how I look like hostile. You would point out these little nuances of the videos that would make people just blow up. And I remember like one of the videos that we were just talking about that really hit for me, it was like an aha moment. We had it when you were teaching me. You're like, you can do these videos on like 5 reasons why you're still going to be broke, 5 reasons why you're going to be rich. And I was like, yeah, tell me more about that. I think that one's going to hit.
Yeah.
And then I went back, I immediately recorded it. Like you gave me homework assignments. I did that. And then it just blew up. I remember looking at it, and when you have a video that's blowing up, like when you first are in the beginning, I don't track them as much more now. I'll be like, oh wow, that one got 1 million. Yeah. But in the beginning, you're tracking everything, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, holy crap, this one's gonna hit like 100,000, and it's hitting 200, and then it's hitting 300, and then we get back on the phone call and be just celebrating all these great things, but. I think it translates through every social media because it's all the same things. They all want watch time, they want click-through rate, and they want people to spend more time because of that creator, right?
But yeah, exactly. And I remember that call quite vividly, and I think that's part of it, right? I was challenging you to think different, right? And just really to be aware. And I remember, again, you probably don't remember this, the first call that we ever had. I was the first slide whenever we had our first coaching sessions, like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to fish versus fish for you. I don't know if you remember me telling you that, but it's like, I want you to think different. That was because I want to empower you that after this is done, which inevitably it does, right? Yeah. That you have that understanding that you can question yourself. So for me, it's very important. I'm quite proud, should I say, that you remember that was a question that you asked yourself, because that's like, now I question everything, right? How am I positioned? What's this kind of word? How can I trigger this? And we did a particular session on like emotions, and I think that came from that of like 5 reasons you're always going to be broke. And within even that, there was a few, right? It feels, that
I still use that.
Looking at the camera, that open palm trust, we had bright red colours on within that as well. But also it's like you're just calling people out like, you're going to be broke, right? Even just that is just a trigger for people. And then that first statement, bang, because you always go shop, because you're always going to buy Starbucks, right? And I think that was just, and I remember there were some creators that you were sharing with me during that time, and they come reaching out to me, they come reaching to you and saw all of that as well. It's just, I do remember that time quite vividly where you were messaging me, it's like, hey, it's going up, it's going viral, and things are kind of kicking off as well. Yeah,
it's crazy that, one thing is like, I was telling Travis, a good buddy, this morning, like when I first started real estate, he was with me and we looked at houses, and I had some guy who I sat down with, totally motivated to sell his house. But I didn't know what I was doing. So I like just sat there and said, okay, thank you. And then didn't do anything because I didn't know where the next step was. Yeah. And that's the same thing with like when you get on social media, like you might be great, but you're missing like one key component. You're missing this major component that, and in our case, it was the psychology. It was, really making sure that, the words, like using those words to get people to like lean into that video a little bit more. So as you're growing your business and you're getting in front of more people and you see social media kind of growing and stuff like that, where do you see like the best way for somebody who's brand new to start growing? Because as we know, TikTok's become harder to grow on. Like I haven't crashed I've been trying to push past 300,000 for like a good bit,
It's just, there's a few questions you need to ask yourself internally before really you get into anything, it's like, well, what do I want out of this? Like, what do I want to be known for? And I think that's kind of a question, and it will evolve, but like just right now, like because when it comes to building a brand, you want people to know you for something, right? To be that go-to. Like, I work with a lot of realtors right now currently, and my elevator pitch, you would say, is I'm going to help you become like a local celebrity, so that when you're walking down the street, people are going to recognize you. They're going to see you, and they're going to, like yourself, right? I'm pretty sure if you walk around here, they're like, hey, I see you on, you're the guy that I see on TikTok.
Yeah, I get that.
They think of you all this time, right? Because once you have that, they'll kind of keep coming back to you and keep wanting what you have. And I think you did a smart move in terms of, it was almost to grow your other socials, where your goals back then was audience growth, but I don't feel it was growth the goal. I think it was monetization of that audience. So then you took the transition, you launched your program off the back of it, where you leveraged all of your knowledge and used it to build that business. So I think for anyone that's just starting out, you just got to ask yourself like a few questions, like, what do I currently know that I can share with the world? And again, it doesn't have to be education, it could be entertainment. You could be a great person that tells dad jokes, cool, do that. It may not mean that just at that moment you want to monetize or to make money, but then over time you might then be able to transition or move into something where you might have more of a passion of a side project where you can start making money from that as well. Right. But it all comes back to having a brand, being known for something, and audience building. And I think one thing as you mentioned earlier is like, when I was on TikTok, you mentioned that when you were on TikTok, you didn't know what you were doing. You're just kind of doing lots of different things, which leads to frustration. It leads to a lot of annoyance, a lot of time wasted for a lot of people as well. Totally. So once you can be very clear on the goals, what you want from it, it's a lot easier to reverse engineer that and be like, well, who is the person that I'm looking to target who would be interested in the same thing? Yeah. Because ultimately, when it comes to creating any type of content, it's the messaging. Right. Because if you don't have the messaging and you don't know who you're doing it for, you're just doing it for everyone. Right. And the common thing is, when you try and market to everyone, you end up, as you may have heard, like marketing to no one, and it becomes just throwing things out there at the wall hoping for something to stick, rather than if you just knew exactly what you want to stick on that wall and who it is that you want to stick it for as well. It's a lot easier that any questions that come from a piece of content, it's like, how is this going to connect with my audience? What are they going to get from this? What is the value that they're going to get? Which is many different things. Right? It comes in all shapes and sizes: education, news, conversation, anything. Yeah. But once you've got that clear understanding of the who and the why, content almost just kind of clicks into place. Right. And I see this with your content, because when you're out and you're actually on the streets and speaking to people as well, this is an aspiration of what other people want to be like. They want to have all the properties. They want to be dealing with all the challenges that you have with builders, contractors and everything. Yeah. That's something they want. So they're following you because they know that I'm working towards that. And you almost, with anything, it's a leadership, right? With sales is leadership. Right. Marketing is leadership. Yeah. When you position yourself as that leader, people will follow. Right. So you grab that attention and build that awareness, and you can bring people where you want to bring them. Right. So going back to, if you're just starting out, it's be very clear what you want to get out of this right now. Right. And who is it that you want to speak to, and what is it that you believe they want or that resonates or relates with them. Right. And your easiest way is probably like trends or something at the start off with, right? Right. You're just starting out, because a lot of people.
What's the trend going on right now? I don't even know. There's always something, right?
It's just a lot of the trends right now.
I caught myself doing a lot of stupid trends.
Yeah, I've seen you dancing.
The chicken, wasn't there a chicken? I think I remember doing like
that. Again, but how did that feel? Like, how did that feel when you were doing that?
I was trying it, whatever would work. You know what I mean? And so for me, like, you just got to put yourself out there and try. But yeah, it didn't feel great because it's not my personality. It didn't represent my personality. Me balking like a chicken, or what? I remember the one, whatever it was. Like, you're sitting there and you're, yapping like a chicken and trying to talk about real estate.
And it's a shame. And it's when you say that, it's a shame, because like you probably put yourself in a position of discomfort and things that you didn't feel good because you feel that you had to do something to conform to an algorithm or to people. But again, it's not your fault. None of it's your fault, because you've not been trained the way that I helped to train you in doing that.
Yes.
So you were doing what other gurus were telling you, which is often post 20 times a day, do all the trends.
Oh yeah, you got to post at these times.
Which isn't just, but it's not sustainable, right? In the sense of where you're now headed with your storytelling and going to homes and speaking and things that go wrong as well, that becomes evergreen because it's not time specific, right? Trends are very short lived. So you're always going to have to be there. And as we know, as like entrepreneurs, it's like our ultimate goal is freedom, so we can eventually step out of this.
Right.
So when you find that you're attached to that trend, whilst they're good in the meantime, once a week, once a month, you're going to eventually get burnt out, and people are going to get tired of it because there's no substance to it. It's just quick entertainment.
Yeah, I noticed a lot with your videos I've seen lately is that the personality's coming out a little bit more. Right? You were pretty much specifically like, this is how you use it, this is how it works, here you go. And now I've seen like, you're like with your baby, you're at the park, you're talking about taking a shit, I think the other day.
I think Sit or Stand, right?
What's that?
I think 350,000 views on a...
Oh, is that how much? I think I saw when it first came out.
Yeah, 350,000 views, and it was a debate between my wife and I of, do you sit or stand when you go to wipe?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was...
What is the answer?
I don't know. That's
yeah, so if you're listening right now, put in the comments, what do? Do you sit or stand?
Yeah, and why? That would be the other question, and why?
And why, yeah.
Yeah, but it's different, and I think because at the very much where you go through different phases as being a creator, right? And we would often look at the wrong different types of metrics.
Right.
So for example, you said, hey, I'm really trying to get to that 300,000, but it's the question like, why? Why?
More's better, right?
We think that, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
We can often think that, but then if I said, well, if those 300,000 followers all paid you $10, if money is the goal, a month, right?
That'd be great.
So then you've already made, 2 million.
That's right. So, okay, that's interesting. If I'm trying to grow, obviously I got to continue to be more broad, right? Because more broad is going to keep me to grow, and more niche is going to keep me targeted with my correct audience.
Correct.
But it seems like even looking at some of the big guys on TikTok, like the Thatches, the Sam Prims, the guys who have 2 million, 1 million, Tat Lindano, the real estate gal, they're broad appealing. And then it's like, the funny thing about me is once I started growing, I became obsessed with growing, right? Yeah. And then my wife says to me, she's like, are you gonna ever make money on this thing? Like I wasn't even selling anything, I think, when we first started, right? I was like, okay, I need to, and she's like, you need to actually make money on this. This is not being the most popular guy on TikTok. Yeah. You gotta turn this into a business. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And I think for a lot of people out there, like, I don't know about yourself, but for me, you don't even realize that you have a skill. Like I didn't realize that like what I did for a living, investing in real estate, was a skill. It's just what I did. And so, realizing that many people are interested in doing what I do, because before I was telling Travis, like, I was like, how long have I been at you to go and invest into real estate? He's like, 20 years. And I'm like, and now people pay me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't and they pay and they want to take action, right? Versus trying to preach to all your friends to go and do this, right? And then you launch a course and they're like, oh yeah, hey, I'm interested. Yeah. So it's really cool to see how that transpires. So from the $497 that you were charging for 50 sessions and a pint of blood, where is your business transitioning now, and who are the clients that you're trying to work with?
Yeah, so it's transitioned into a lot more of a bigger thing, right? When we think about, whilst TikTok is still the vehicle to help them, there's a lot of like, again, misunderstandings of one kind of like gap in knowledge of like what should we be doing. I specifically work right now in real estate, right at this moment, like residential realtors, and they just don't know what they don't know, and what happens in that instance is they will just try and replicate and copy others. Yeah. So, but the downside of that is that you don't know what you're trying to copy, and especially how you're copying the person, if that's the right person you're supposed to be copying or not. So what you find, and a common thing around like realtors right now, is their who is messaging specific to other realtors, so they get caught in this trap, in this cycle of, I'm only speaking to other realtors, but then I'm often using the channels which are my sphere. So it's helping them understand there's a big wider audience outside of that, and that there are buyers, clients in bed crying themselves to sleep because they need help and they don't know that you can help them. That's what I say to people.
Right. There's so many bad creators out there too.
And there is, and they always think that more volume is going to work, but if it's the wrong type of volume and it's not the right type of quality, you're just still getting thrown stuff at the wall. So what I specifically help is just really kind of create personal brands out of realtors and help differentiate themselves within an often now crowded market, so they can take their businesses to the next level. And it all comes through just one, being in front of the right people, and two, people understanding and knowing like what they actually do and how they can help people. Because a lot of people are scared to be salesy. I don't want to talk about what I do, but and how I can help people as well. And it comes through a lot of discomfort, and a lot of people are scared to be on video. They're scared to show themselves, and there's a lot of like inner fears and self-doubts that come with that. So I really cover a lot of mindset, and that's the same way that you grow, is knowing what is going to set people off. Of course.
And people get crazy. I was just talking earlier. We did a video with the parking lot, and I got so much hate for telling people, don't freaking do Brody's in my freaking parking lot. I got called Karen. I'm this big crybaby because I don't want people doing Brody's in my parking lot that I'm gonna have to resurface because some guy decides that it's his playhouse. But people really get nasty out there, and I'm sure you see some of it. That is the side, like the hate side. You have to almost block out those comments because they can really get to you.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Most people know that you have to do that, but it's how do you do that?
Right.
It's always the question, right?
Yes.
Which is, most people know that real estate investing is a great way so you can earn money, save on taxes, etc., but they don't know how.
Right.
So what you do is you put the how.
Right.
But often also on the flip side is that they sometimes know the how, but they don't have someone to hold their hand through the process.
Right.
So again, since what I really specialize in, I'll give you the skills and knowledge, but I'll also give you the accountability and to make sure, because it comes through consistency and building that consistency and just holding people's hand through the process and just making sure they're following through on what they say they do, right? Taking action.
I think that's so important because a lot of people are always like, especially when they're coming through the coaching program, on my coaching program or yours, one of the things I hear a lot is like, well, I'll go do it on my own, and I'm motivated. And it's like, yeah, that's true. You could do that. Yeah. And the reality is the accountability is almost as important as anything, because people on their own are going to they're going to tell themselves, hey, it's okay. I don't need to do it today. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. But when I'm like, I got to go meet with Josh, and he's going to ask me about what I did this week. Yeah. And I better go do it right now because I haven't done it yet because he gave me homework and I didn't do it.
Exactly that, right? And I know that I told you off a few times of like, come on, why aren't you doing it, man? And it's like, I'll do it. But then again, that's also a responsibility on me to make sure that you do it as well, and to follow through. And a question, you can do it on my own. Cool. Why haven't you then? Have you just found out you could do it on your own, or do you? Yeah. Is that something you just decided now? No. Okay, cool. So why haven't you been doing it? I don't know. Literally, and that will stop them in their track. And
So how's that been going?
Yeah, how's that been going?
Why are you on a call with us right now?
You're still not to laugh at it. Okay, so you're still struggling to pay off your credit card debt and not close the home in 6 months. And you think now just this conversation, we're on a call today because you had a problem and you know that I can fix it.
But you're going to do it on your own.
So again, which then opens up some others, and it comes back to again, sales psychology, but there's a lot of inner fears that people have. Can I commit? Do I trust this person? But it's often, do I trust myself enough that I can do this?
Yeah. Did you ever want to invest in real estate? Did you ever want to live the life of your dreams? Did you want financial freedom? Did you want to break the generational curse? Did you want to help your parents out? Did you want to help your mom out? Maybe you work for a job that you don't like. They say there's only one reason to work a job, and that's to learn, right? If you're not learning at your job, you're just going through the motions, right? We have a free Facebook group, the Millionaire Mentorship Facebook group for real estate investing. Make sure you join. The link is in the description. If you want to schedule a free call with me and my team and you actually want to start, I would suggest you do so. We have helped hundreds of people change their lives, and all they had to do was get started. They booked a call with me and my team, and they got the ball rolling. And I'm so confident that if you don't get your first or next investment property within the first 90 days, you don't pay, and I'll give you $1,000 cash. That's how confident I am. Obviously, you got to take action. You can't just do nothing and expect that to happen, but that's life. Life's all about taking action. Make sure you give this podcast a 5-star review, share it with a friend, and take action. What do you think the biggest inner fear that people have is? Just from what you've witnessed.
Imposter syndrome. Like, imposter syndrome is the biggest one. They feel that there's something inside them that they're going to get called out on. It's like, hey, you're a fraud, you can't do what you say you're going to do, even if they've got tons of evidence to back it up. I saw of a recent...
That could happen to anybody.
Yeah, and I saw of a recent client, and she's like, oh, everything's going wrong. She's got 107,000 views in the last week, right? And she posted 2 videos. They got 1,000 views and 6,000 views. She said, no one's seeing my video. And I said to her, send me 3 screenshots. Views of the last 7 days, views of the last 30 days, views of the last 90 days. She had 107,000 views in the last week, 850,000 in the last 30 days, and 2.7 million in the last 60 days. So I said, based on these, do you think no one has seen your video? She said yes. And I was like, is that true? Based on what you've just showed here? And she's like, no, it's not true. I was like, because you're focusing on the wrong things. Because you're focusing on things you can't control, i.e. the views, the shares, the comments. You can't control that. The algorithm can just say, no, I'm not going to push the video out.
Right.
Does that mean you're going to affect the input on the front end?
No.
So that's why I'm there to kind of control her and say, you just focus on what you can do and what you need to put into it. And then everything else will follow if you just stay consistent with what we're talking about as well.
Do people blame you when they have not success? Have you ever found that out? Like, I haven't had that from, like, you know, a coaching standpoint, but I can see how some people... Are you careful about who you allow in the program just based on that initial...
There's been times, but again, there's a certain level of trust when you kind of work with people on the front end. Is like, are you committed? Can you commit like 5 to 10 hours per week to this program? Are you committed to creating content so that you can get more buyers and sellers, get more closings, and provide a better life for you, your family and kids, and take them to Disneyland? Are you committed to that? And if they say yes, cool. So if they say, oh, I'm not getting the results, it's cool. Are you following the process? Have you done your posting? Have you even, you know? And so, yes, I've had it, but it's expectations from the start on day one. It's like, this is what you need to do. If you do this, post 3 times a day for the first 30 days, then meet me and we'll do it. So I would say, have you done what you're supposed to do? And if their answer is not yes, right, I'm saying, well, get back to it then.
Yeah.
You know? I said, I can lead you to the... If you're in the Amazon right now, you're stuck, you can't see anywhere out, you are confused, worried, whatever it may be, I can give you the map, I can give you the compass, I can go through the woods, I can give you the boat, but you need to get on the boat and get out yourself. I cannot do that for you.
Yeah.
You can pay me more to do it. I will literally hire a video team, fly out, but it's going to cost you 10, 20, 30,000 for me to do that. Are you happy to do that knowing that you probably can't even afford to put food on the table right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Okay, cool. So now you need to make that commitment to take action yourself. I cannot do that for you.
A lot of people make excuses.
Of course.
It's interesting, like, too, when you see, I don't know about you, but we've seen people come into our program and they'll pay and they show up for one time and then you don't hear them again. And you're like, you just paid for this program. And then you'll try to follow up. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Anything I can do to help you? And it's like, some people, I believe, they just, if they pay for something, like, automatically that fixes everything.
Yeah, because it's a dopamine hit and a feel good to say, well, I did something, I tried something, but the real issue comes from when they blame you for the results that they didn't put the work in to get.
Right.
That's where it's important to, again, have that accountability, because most of the time when it comes to any kind of program, what I've found is that even with you and I, right?
Yeah.
You knew that I'm meeting up with Josh, right? And then if I've got excuses, he's going to call me out on it. I'm going to feel bad about myself for doing it. Yeah. There'll be a time where you're going to question yourself, do I continue want to keep feeling bad, or I'm actually going to turn around and do what I'm supposed to do, right?
Yeah, you don't want to come to the call with a bunch of excuses.
But I think it also comes back to when I was charging, like, sometimes the $500, people would be flaky and not show up as well. But, you know, when I'm now charging closer to like $10,000 for less, right? If you're spending that kind of money, I think there's a level of commitment just that you are going to put into it to make sure that it happens. Right. Because it's like, wow, wasting a couple of thousand, I mean, made a bad few decisions, but to waste that amount of money, there are other people that probably are relying on you to make that decision as well. Yeah. But back onto what your earlier point was talking about around content. when we're talking about the different like cadences, shall we say, and you say, oh, I used to do like the educational piece. So what I'm really finding is a new era or a new transition when it comes to different types of content is, well, specifically it was focused a lot more on the education piece, because it's now much more of a commodity to educate, and people can now find more information, and there's lots more people popped up, new real estate investors teaching things. You're going to attach yourself to a specific person based on what they believe in and what they stand for. It's not as like a core identity level. Right. So for example, like you mentioned this other kid, I'm going to call him a kid because I know his name, we won't say it here, but I know who you're referring to, which now I think he does, he actually hires closers, I think he does close, so he's not even in the game anymore, right? So I've seen that my other competition have just knocked over like dominoes because they were just a shiny object, it's not working, we're going to go to something else. But so what I'm now really focusing on is definitely kind of more like character building content, getting people to know who I am, what I stand for, especially now that I've got a young family and I want goals and things, because it's my hope that they resonate with that a lot more, rather than, hey, I can show you how to use TikTok, but they probably already know how to use TikTok, but I can show you a lifestyle, and this is how my decisions and my actions have led to this type of lifestyle. If you want to do the same, this is what you need to do, and this is how I've done it. Bringing in all of those, like even now when I've managed to come out in Kansas City.
We love that, man.
You know, my business is still there, it's still growing, I've still got a team working for it in the back, but none of that would not have been possible had I not started with that first post, first day with TikTok that we mentioned right at the start of this podcast, right? So I can help you take that first step, and I can show you in my journey to where I am and this amazing experience that I'm at now, and it's all come through that first domino. Let me show you how you can do the same thing, if that's what you want, if you've got a family, if you want financial freedom, if you want to travel the world and push your brand out there to a global audience as well. If you want all those things and you say yes to it, hey, come work with me, let me show you the way.
Yeah, and if somebody's interested in doing that, they're listening to the program right now, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, we've got a Facebook group, so it's called the Real Estate Celebrity Club on Facebook.
I like it.
So if you want to go to Facebook Real Estate Celebrity Club, and there's a question once you join that, whether it's not, if you're interested in learning more, how I can help you. If you answer yes to that question, I'll shoot you a DM. We'll jump on a call, and for me, it's just a few questions. I just want to understand a few things. So one, like, where are you at now? Like, where do you want to get to? What's kind of preventing you from getting there? If I can know those questions, if I can fill in that gap for you and be that person that helps you get to that person, I'll talk you through what I've currently got and show you the exact step-by-step process to get you there.
Yeah, and I can just, if you guys are thinking about hiring a coach for TikTok, I can tell you, out of any of the money I've spent, which I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching, this was the best money, and I truly mean that. I'm not just trying to say that to flatter you. Like, Josh knows his shit, and that's why I was so excited to get you out here, because, you know, it's impactful how good you are. And I always think, like, even though you mostly spend your time on TikTok, that all of that stuff translates. Like, I use everything you taught me on the other platforms as well. Just because it's taught in TikTok doesn't mean it doesn't work on these other platforms, and it translates. So I would almost call it a social media influencer academy or something, because, I mean, you really... once you understand one thing, you just repurpose everything. I mean, everybody I know is repurposing their TikToks on Reels, their TikToks on YouTube Shorts. It shows you how powerful TikTok has come, because YouTube copied them, Instagram copied them, and now, you know, Twitter's doing long form, and you know, LinkedIn. It's crazy. And, you know, and almost, I would say TikTok has transitioned not just as like, hey, let's go find some information, but like my wife, she has this whole TikTok made me do it, where she'll go and like find these cool Christmas decorations, and how am I going to put my house together for Christmas? And I follow this influencer because they're really good at showing me how to do this cool thing, and I would never know how to do this. Or I'm going to try this thing out because I saw it on TikTok and it seems like it's cool. And then they got the TikTok shop. So it's starting to transition. Now you can load up, 10-minute videos on there now?
Yeah.
So as this platform continues to change, and here's the other thing. Let's go down this rabbit hole real quick. Okay. Remember when Trump's in office and they're talking about TikTok's owned by the Chinese and the Chinese are spying on you? Like, Mark Zuckerberg's not, number one. And they give all this doubt, all this craziness. You know, how were you thinking about that? Were you like, oh my God, they're going to shut this thing down? What were you thinking was going to happen?
I just didn't give any attention to it. Where energy goes, energy flows, right?
Right.
So if I'm going to be focusing on something which is more scarcity versus actually that's not really going to serve me best, so I kind of avoided it.
Yeah.
And if people wanted to make that decision, I'd say, okay, cool. I'll reach out to you in 3 months when it's not been banned. And I literally said that to people.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. And I reach back out to them. It's not banned. You ready now? Yeah, cool. Let's go. Right.
Yeah. Because a lot of people thought it was going to be banned.
Yeah, but one part of me, and you bring up a good point, and I appreciate the compliment, and it's very foundational, right? And I think where a lot of we can talk about is like the front end, i.e. like how it looks, how it sounds, but that works great. But for you specifically, and from a lot of my other clients that I work with, is that you need to build a foundation so you have that good knowledge and awareness, so that if something did happen, let's say TikTok got shut down, your account got shut down. One, you've got built an audience because you've got a program. We focus heavily with you and like, how can we get those leads? How can I build my audience across other channels?
Yes.
Because the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make is they go all in on one platform, but they never actually own that data. They don't bring that. So you need to give something. It could be like a lead magnet. It could be a conversation. You need an email or a phone number. That's literally it. Email is probably best preferred because you can then turn to one-on-one conversations. You can drop someone an email. So that's what we've kind of focused on for yourself as well.
Yeah.
But to my point, it's that you need to build that influence, but you can never just be on that one platform. You need data off the platform so that you can carry that audience with you.
Yeah.
If mine got shut down today, I've got like 80,000 emails. Hey everyone, my account's been shut down. Cool. I'll probably get about 50,000 followers like that from the new account because I've got all the email addresses.
Yeah.
That from that, I can sell them. I could talk about things. I can grow different groups, different platforms as well. But whilst there's different nuances to YouTube and Instagram, LinkedIn, X, all of these as well, the messaging still is much the same. It's just a different package.
Yeah, it's just a different...
how you can change it as well. So that's what I do teach at a core level is that, hey, cool. Because often there's a question, well, is this going to work for Instagram? Is this going to work for Facebook? Yes. But I'm not going to teach you how it works for that channel, but if you take what I teach you and then you know how to then package it, i.e. the inner workings of my foundations, the strategies, etc. on other channels, it will still be as successful for you on those other channels.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that we learned was like, hey, the hashtags, they're for bookmarking things. There's like for the Dewey Decimal System, they file it, right? I remember you telling me that's how that works. And then, the caption, that's for people to kind of read what's going on. And there's so many just things that you didn't think about before. I became obsessed with growing on TikTok. I mean, I was doing all my own videos on my own. And then we found out it was actually better when my editor Nick was editing. You're like, well, you seem like you got a guy following you around with a camera sometimes. I was like, yeah, sometimes. And you're like, that content seems to work the best for you. And I was like, cool. And so we doubled down on that, and that's worked way better than anything else. Although I do want to get that one video I want to get that why you're broke again.
You still can, and that's the thing. But I think again, when we talk about different creators, I put them into different buckets. You're in a very high bucket because you've got the finances, you've got the team, you've got the setup to be able to do that. But for example, if we've got this event coming up, if I speak to one of your students, they're just starting out trying to build that influence, they may not have the resources for that right now. So again, it's like, grab a tripod and literally just film yourself. People think it's so much more than it needs to be. We're in this fancy studio with lights, cameras, mics, everything. It's like, we could record a TikTok together right now.
Absolutely.
Load up your phone, film it, you're done. What you did in your car, right? It took one shot.
That was a car wash, 5.3 million views.
Car wash, 3 minutes probably max from start to finish, if that.
That's it.
And you just and people would, brands and advertisers would pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get that amount of exposure and that reach. Not only on the front end through your own personal, but for the back end of other people who have reacted.
Well, in that video, just to let you know, that video went viral for so many different reasons, all which you had told me before. Yeah. Like, I was wearing a random pair of glasses that were in my, I don't even know if they were mine. I think they were like reading glasses that didn't look good on me. And they were like, and so people were like commenting on that hit, right?
Yeah.
And then like just the fact that I went out with that, but so many different things that you had talked about that just kind of came together in this one. It was just incredible. I wanted to get into a couple things that I had some questions about. One in particular is, can you buy followers on TikTok?
You can buy anything.
Okay. Well, that's the answer, right? If you could, because I had heard some guys, like I know on Instagram, there's a lot of guys who buy followers. I've never bought a follower or anything like that, but I heard there was other people who bought followers on TikTok, and I was like, that's crazy. I didn't realize you could actually do that as well. I mean, not that because you're buying bots basically. Mm-hmm. You're not getting anything. You're just kind of alluding to people that you have more clout than you actually really do.
Of course, yeah.
And so. It's eventually going to backfire, but I have heard there are some people that do that. So it's
and it's a good question. That's a really good question. And the answer to that is yes. And you alluded to that you can, and they will be bots. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to building an audience, it's not the number that you want to focus on. It's the quality. Like, for example, I often use the analogy of, you know, the film 300, right, where they literally go to war and they are just there. And if you could build that. Dale Carnegie, in one of his books, was talking about, and the question I'd pose to my audience is like, if you have 100 fans or 100,000 followers, who's going to go to war with you, right? Your 100 fans.
Yes.
Right, your super fans. And we often think that, as is with you, is like, I think, well, the growth is nice, but it's often a metric that serves you, not necessarily others.
Yeah, the longer time people spend with you, the more that they're going to become a super fan.
And exactly that. And I mean, I've got people that comment on every single post. From like, one lady's got 3 accounts, and she messages every single time. And old students of mine, and and I'm so grateful that us as an old student. This is the first time I've met any student in real life, and I'm here in America.
Yes!
I'm here in America. It's crazy. I have to pinch myself, right?
Yeah.
I've worked with over like 300, coming up to like 400, and never had this opportunity. And I feel incredibly grateful to you.
We are the grateful people
to
awesome.
Do that as well. And I'd put you up there as like one of my super fans, like probably like top 1, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to all my other super fans out there if you're listening.
Yes,
right?
I got it. You just named it. I've got it.
You're still my favourite as well. But it's like, but they'd follow you through, and I think when people buy the followers, they're doing it for a few reasons. They do it for themselves as part 1, to make themselves feel good, so they see this fancy number, but also found on the flip side, part 2, because they believe that it's going to build trust with other people when it comes to selling or working with them, right? But that actually turns a lot of people off.
Right.
For example, I experienced this recently. I had a post that got like 800 views, and people are like, oh, well, you got so many views, did you buy your followers? And I was like, no, but that's just the algorithm's working today. And it's just a very simple response. But I also said, well, why is that important to you? Why is it important to you that I've got that many followers and views? And they're like, well, it's not really okay, so why are you worried about it then? I'm not worried about it. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to focus on what I can control as the input, and the output is what I can't control.
Right.
But on that point, it's like there are many different ways to build trust outside of that. And if you're looking to make money through like brand partnerships, if you're looking to make money through coaching, should we say, like we do, if you want to do brand partnerships, they don't focus on the follower count, they focus on the engagement, part 1. So if you have 100,000 followers and you're getting 1 comment, they know that you've bought those followers, they don't want to work with you. Rather, if you had 1,000 followers and you're getting like over 1,000 comments per post, that's what they want more, because there's a deeper community in that who are very loyal to that person. And if they say go jump, their super fans will say how high.
Yeah, right.
And that's what people want. And then on the flip side, if you're doing one-on-one coaching like we're doing, is that just show me proof. I don't care how many followers you got, show me proof. Yes, if I want followers, great that you've got that followers, but show me, if you can't get it, show me other people that you've got it for.
Yeah.
Right? I can show you as an example. I worked with another young real estate investor, and he got 320,000 followers in 10 days. I worked with and it was just from one video where he was talking about his experience with a software, being like a story of being a software engineer to becoming a real estate investor. And because it connected on a human level as well. So you can buy it, but it's like, well, what do you want to buy them for? What are you hoping that it would give you?
Right.
If it's an ego stroke, I can come and give you a hug and tell you how amazing you are and send you a text message every day. I'll save you a bit of money.
Yeah, right.
But what else is it for?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, trying to grow is just, you always want to be at the top of your game, whatever that looks like, right? And I think one thing, as I have, converted a lot of these followers or some of these followers into sales, and you hear their story, it becomes actually very rewarding. I wasn't even planning on this. I originally got into coaching because I knew I had a skill. I could help people, and I was really damn good at real estate. And I knew I was good at real estate, and I knew other people who were coaching that I knew weren't as good as I was. And I knew that. And so I was like, well, if they're teaching and I know way more than they do, then I should be teaching, because they're charging money. And some of these guys are still out there right now, and they charge way more money than I do. And they know way less than I do. And that's fine. They can get their money. But the reason... The thing that I did not count on is how inspired I would be by hearing people's why. Like by hearing like, hey, I want to do this because I'll be very honest, my why was money.
Yeah.
The reason I got into real estate, money. It wasn't like, oh, well, I want to, create generational wealth. I want to, be able to take my mom out of her job. It was like, no, I grew up broke and I want to be rich, And so, but then hearing from the other people, their whys, I realized, okay, I've got what I want now. Now it's time to give back. And that's one thing I really like about hearing your story is like, you're not looking to like conquer the world. You're looking to spend time with your family and travel and live a good life, right? And be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, which is probably like admirable for somebody who really just can't shut it down. Like I just, I can tell you like, hey, I'm going to stop. I'm going to slow down. Everybody I tell that to is never going to happen.
There's two things, because you mentioned there, like, I did it for money, but one thing you mentioned something as well, so you did it because you were broke once before. That's your why, right?
Absolutely.
And I can just, is it that you wanted to do that because you didn't want to be broke again?
Absolutely.
So that's your why, right?
Yeah, when you grow up broke and you watch other people have stuff and you don't, and then, you realize that you kind of, as a kid, I think that you realize that like, okay, all these other kids have money, they have things, they have bikes, they have this, I don't have anything. Yeah. And then you're like, people that have stuff have money. And people that do stuff have money, and people that have freedom have money. So I need to get money to have that stuff. And then once you get the money, you realize like, okay, that's great. I've got the money. Do I have the happiness? Yes, I have the happiness. I have a good family, right? That's like really like, I think we both have that in common. It's a very life-changing thing, having a child and then realizing that there's somebody else who's more important. I always have to constantly work at myself as a father because, last night my wife got mad at because I'm yelling and stuff like that. And she's like, stop, you gotta, this is the times that you gotta embrace and just enjoy those. And it is so cool to just see my life evolve and say like, what was important to me as a young guy, having the money, having the things, having those types of things has changed to me saying like, yeah, you know what, I am really good at teaching people real estate. Now we've got proof. And the imposter syndrome for me was I've never taught people, right? Like, am I a teacher? Do I know what I'm doing? Yeah, sure, I can do it myself, but can I teach other people how to do it? And then watching those students get like a win where they're like, we just had a guy make $72,000 on his first ever real estate deal. And I'm going, how rewarding is that for me, knowing that when this guy comes to me on the side and says, Troy, I was scared. I didn't think I was watching you for a year. Yeah. I wasn't going to do this, and you called me on it, and I did it, and I made $7. Now it's easy. I understand it. I'm not worried about it. Yeah. And how many lives is he going to affect? And so it's really cool that what I initially planned on was I was just like, well, I'm better at this than other people, and I should be out there teaching it. And now it's become full circle where I'm being rewarded by the people I teach, by their stories.
And it's because where you were back then, it's almost when we think about a transition, you were running from something, not towards something.
Yes.
And you felt that you getting that money meant that you could get further away from being at a place of broke, right?
Yes.
And there was almost no limit. But then when you add variables and responsibility, should we say, to yourself, now that your family is here as well, you see the world differently, and there becomes a point where you realize, wow, I must not be the only one right now who feels this in the position that was from a broke position, but then you're in a great position where you're able to do that. But now when you put those together, broke, family, and you actually think, well, how many people are broke with a family? Yeah. And what can I do to be able to make sure that separates like it did for you, that you are now in a position of abundance where you've got family and knowledge. Yeah. What you're doing is you're creating a gap for people with your knowledge that that brokenness to that family responsibility and all the emotions that come with that.
Right.
That's what you give to other people, and it's very common. I'm not trying to coach or be in coach mode right now, but
you're good. You're good.
When you open that up, there does come some imposter, because as you said, it's things that you've never done and a state of discomfort. And I was recently watching a video from a professor from Harvard, and he said anytime you do something new, you go into this deep pit, should we say, of fear and uncomfortability. Yeah. But once you do it the first time, it's always going to be the hardest time, right? Yeah. And then I say, first time that you tried maybe doing a one-on-one coaching or had a session with someone, it's probably really hard and uncomfortable. But did it 100 times. For example, like now, I'm like, this isn't my first rodeo, it's not my first podcast, it's my first in-person podcast. I've been nervous, I don't know what to say, but I trust so much that I have the knowledge and understanding in myself that any fears that I have is just an emotion I've created for myself, which I can remove at any given time by just taking that fear out. Right. And I just do it anyway, right? I just take action with it anyway, because I do not have a choice. Yeah. For myself, for my family, for you inviting me out here as well. Yeah. You know,
we couldn't afford that. Hey, something happened, I can't make it.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And I was thinking, I'm going to miss my flight, and there was some connection issues, jumping the line at JFK to get through baggage control as well, and hoping I'd get through when they said, you're a real estate investing and all this kind of things as well. But then and a way to look at it is like, you've got that knowledge, and even just if you just know one thing that someone else doesn't, and that could help them get one step closer to their goal, just one tiny thing, you created impact. You know, and that could just be a piece of advice in a TikTok video. For sure. Right? How to like look for a specific thing in a property. It could be whatever it may be. You are the expert at this. Like, hey, make sure you look at this because it could save you 10,000. Awesome. That was a very quick win. I saw that in house the other day. I was going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it anymore. You just saved me 10K. Right. Cool. Now you put that 10K and you invest it in me, and I'll help you save, if not make, more money. Yeah. And we know when it comes to sales, there's three things. Like, want to make more money, they want to save more money, or they just want to get more time back. Yeah. If we can give one of those three things, which you do, you get them to make more money, you give them time back because they can get out their 9 to 5, their job, spend more time with their family as well. That's honestly what most people want. So, you know, I think your why is there. Yeah. It's just when you lay it on the table, it's like, cool.
No, I think right now it's just completely, like you said, it's a completely different thing. It's like, I was just telling my wife last night, I was like, you know, we're just going to buy a lot of shit out here. You know, like, I'm like, you know, where I'm at with my real estate is I'm more focused, you know, the education piece is going to continue to go. We're going to continue to build that out. Yeah. But I really just want to be a dominant force when it comes to like just owning a shit ton of real estate. Just being a Goliath in that department. That's where I get my swagger from, you know. We went and toured a property yesterday, and we were talking to her, and the lady said, oh yeah, the owner here owns this entire like swath, like they've been in it for 3 generations. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what I needed. And I, you know, it's not often that I sit next to somebody who's got more properties than I do, or has got more. So when I see that type of thing, it inspires me to go, okay, let's push it, let's take it, let's kick it up a little bit. Yeah. And I think sometimes, you know, whatever you're doing, no matter what it is, whether it's you're trying to invest in real estate, you're trying to get your social media prowess out there, you're gonna have to get uncomfortable. I think that's what you just mentioned. You're gonna have to, like, I remember my first podcast, I was freaking, as the host and as the person, as the guest, and I got pit sweat coming like crazy. I'm all nerves and everything like that. And same thing when I played my first golf league, right? I'm playing, I'm nervous. Same thing when I did my first presentation, I'm nervous, right? People say, well, you don't look nervous. Well, because I'm gonna just step through it and figure it out. So one final question, why should people get on social media?
I think because there's never an opportunity right now to get in front of as many people as there is today. So have you ever felt that you have something inside of you that needs to be shared with the world? Yes. This could be knowledge. This could just be you as an actual person. If you feel that you are meant for more than your friends, the people that you meet down the shops, your inner circle, should we say, if you feel that you were born for bigger things, that the world, that you were here to leave a legacy and have people remember you, social media is going to be that way to do that. It is impossible, should we say, to get a global reach unless you are someone who makes hundreds of millions, that can buy every billboard in the world, that can, you know, pay for all of the ads, So if you felt that there's an inner calling and that you deserve more in life and more people to know what you do, and you want to leave a legacy and for people to remember you, then you need to get on social media. And maybe you don't know why that is. You don't want that. You want to leave, but just do it. Just do something. Just get started with it.
Yeah.
And don't focus on the numbers, the follow count, anything.
Yeah.
Just focus on getting uncomfortable, because that's probably going to be your biggest hurdle. Then we can talk about, cool, then how can we grow? How can we monetize? How can we leverage?
Yeah.
Just get through that first step.
That's great. I think that's a great piece of advice. If you guys are listening to this podcast right now, make sure you give Josh, who flew all the freaking way out here from, I always want to say London, England, but where exactly in England are you from?
We say London. It's a place called Essex. So
Essex. I've seen it on the map.
Yeah.
What's the population there?
I know the population of my small town in Essex is about 15,000 people.
So you're in a small town.
Yeah. Not many people look like me in my small town, put it that way.
Really?
Well, there's not many long-haired ginger people that walk around there.
That's right. I really appreciate you coming all the way out here. I appreciate you making yourself available. I'm excited to hear what you have to say during your presentation. I can't say thank you enough for coming on. I mean, this is such a lot of people, they drove from the next day, they flew they took a couple hour flight, but we know getting from here to across the pond is not an easy one, and your time is valuable. It's your most valuable commodity, so I certainly appreciate you spending it with me today and with me the rest of the weekend, and I can't thank you enough.
So I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and it was definitely worth the flight, knowing that I'd come over here and speak to yourself, students, potential students, peers, and at one point for myself, it's as kind of wrap up, touch upon what you said earlier, it's that who you surround yourself with.
Right.
One of the most exciting things this weekend is I can surround myself with you and feel that energy, and I think often what we need most is that when we feel scared, we can't do it on our own, we just need support.
Let's go, right?
People around us, right?
That's it, man. You need someone to push you. So awesome, guys. Well, thanks for tuning into the podcast. Make sure you give Josh a 5-star review. Make sure you share this video or any parts of it with your friends, and make sure that you get started in social media or get started doing something that makes you uncomfortable, because it's probably good for you. All right. Peace. Hey, if you're listening to this podcast right now, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you give us a 5-star review. And we've got content all over the place, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. But we also have a coaching program. If you are looking for a coach, we have the Millionaire Mentorship, and this is a coaching program where I actually help you get your first investment property within the first 90 days, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash. That's how confident I am to get you that type of result. And I know you might be here and you might be listening, you might be scared, you might not want to take action, but that is not going to get you where you want to be. And obviously, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you want to take action and you're trying to gather the information, but maybe you're confused. Maybe you're just like a lot of people that I talk to. You're scared of losing money. You want to become financially free, but you don't know where to start. And that's exactly what I help you to do in this program. So do yourself a favor, book a call with me and my team, and let's get the ball rolling. The link is in the description, and we'll put it in the video right here, right now. Thanks.